And so I'll hit record now. You're welcome to mute your camera. If you don't want to be seen, that's fine. I don't mind having my face on the internet. My mom likes to see me. She's super proud of me every day. So I just want to share with you, I am Carmen, not Cameron Diaz. I am the VP of Advocacy for NYS TESOL. I also work with the Capital District Auburn. So we're the Regional Bilingual Education Resource Network. So if you see me on other PDs, that's why. Usually my day job is that, but I'm on lunch right now. So I figured I'd do some tech tools for ELLs for you. So I'm thrilled that you can make it today. Thank you so much. So I'm going to keep admitting people in. So as people come in, you'll see the screen kind of getting larger and larger. So for the first part of this session, I just want to make sure you have a couple of items. Make sure that you have the links in the chat. So you want the bit.ly, which is the bottom one. So that's the EdTech NYS TESOL 2020. If you've never used a bit.ly before, I would recommend you copy paste it. But it is case sensitive. So you'll have access to the slides. I can actually see you popping in there. That's great. And then the top two links are the Join NYS TESOL. If you want CTLE credits, you'll need to fill out that form that's also linked, the middle link there. So you'll need to fill that out. I'm not sure why it's not letting me admit this one person. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a quick question because, as I said, the second part of this is going to be a little bit of collaboration because while I have a lot of tools to throw at you today, I don't have all the answers. Sometimes the value is being able to collaborate with other colleagues in the field, and you're doing it right now. So thank you so much for all you're doing and trying new things and putting things out there for your English learners. So another piece that I'll say before I give you the poll is at some point, and it's different for everybody, you may hit information overload. And so just imagine that look on your learners' faces at 2 p.m. on a Friday. They're done. They're really just done learning new information. And so you may get that look on your face. I'm not going to be able to gauge that from your videos because most of you are off right now. That's fine. But you can gauge that for yourself. And I am recording this session. So just know once you hit that point, just absorb, sit back, be a sponge. And then you can always come back later on when you are ready for that and say, hey, I am really just not ready today, but in 2 weeks maybe you're going, hey, I remember that girl Carmen had said something about this one tool for verbal scaffolding. I'm going to go back and revisit that. So that's definitely up to you to go back and visit. But as I said, take it at your own pace because it can be a lot of information. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is give you a poll. So make sure you are in your Zoom right now. I know a lot of you are toggling back and forth. So the first thing I'm going to ask is which type of tool for ELLs would you most like to hear about in detail? So I'm going to tell you a little bit about a lot of them, but I'm going to focus my a majority of my time on the ones that you choose the most. So you can choose more than one, maximum 3. But I would love it if you chose one. So there's modeling, wait time, using visuals, using verbal and written instructions, checking for understanding, and encouraging L1 or first language, native language. So I'll give you a second to fill that out. 76% of you have voted. Haha. Yes, the polling feature in Zoom, if you don't have the premium version, it probably is free now because of online learning, but I had to go into my settings and enable polling. And then I just created a poll. There's a little poll option at the bottom of my screen. So if you don't have it on Zoom, definitely check that out and enable that in your settings. But then when I clicked polls, it helped me create a multiple choice or a single choice question. Okay, so it looks like majority of you want to hear a lot about modeling and verbal and written instructions. So I'm going to make sure I focus in on those, be responsive to your needs. Cool. And a lot of these things, somebody asked me this morning, how did you learn so much about Zoom? A lot of the tools that you're learning about right now, it's kind of a trial by fire, and you're learning because you have to use these tools, otherwise you can't engage with your learners. So keep in mind, if you need some support, some tech support, we have those on our Arborn website, but I would say ours is definitely not comprehensive. A lot of the ways that I learned these tech tools is either by learning from colleagues or by going on YouTube, to be honest. And I don't work for YouTube. They're not paying me any money to say this, but I want to let you know that they have a wealth of knowledge because anybody can upload resources, kind of like a teachers pay teachers. We know what's good, and so we try to share it with each other. And I feel like that's really, for me, the best teaching tool. I told my mom about YouTube, and she hasn't stopped, so it's great. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen just to kind of orient you with my slides presentation style. So here's the slides. Let me make it a little bit bigger for you. And I can see that you're popping into here because your little anonymous animals are there. I give you the link to be able to view these things. On the first slide, I gave you the bit.ly, so if you need to revisit this, or if you're just watching the video and you didn't get the bit.ly in the comments, you're welcome to type that in. But this is educational technology with English learners. So last week I did specifically Google tools. I will throw in some Google tools, but I will expand today a little bit further than that. But again, I'm already 8 minutes into my time, and I want to be respectful of your time. So when I give you an overview, we are going to go to another platform so I can show you a way to collaborate with each other. So maybe you can share other tools that maybe I didn't get to. So something to know about these slides, I got these from Slides Carnival. It's a pretty great free site, and you'll see the credits page on the very end. But a lot of times I will add notes and links to the slides. So when you see them there, you can click on them. And then when you go into the speaker notes, sometimes I have slides or items linked there as well. So don't ignore the notes at the bottom here. Okay, I'm going to go into presentation mode and we'll get started. I will have some pausing points, so if you do have specific questions for me, type them in the chat, but don't hit enter, and then I will tell you we're coming to a pausing point, and then you can ask me those questions. Okay, so as I mentioned, I am Carmen Diaz. I'm VP of Advocacy. We are having elections coming up in the fall for New York State TESOL, so if you're interested in any of those board positions, it's definitely been one of the most rewarding experiences in my professional career, and I feel like I've met, some of my people there, so it's really great. I'm also a Google certified trainer, so if you're wondering why is she talking a lot about Google, I don't work for Google, but I am a trainer for them, so I learn a lot about their tools. And you can find me at this email. Just some adjectives about me. If you are an active listener, there's also a share tech document that other people have been collaborating with, and then just some goals, resources that I want to share with you, how to find and create your own, and then connect you for further collaboration. So I shared this with you last week, the article from NPR talking about English language learners and how is your state doing. It basically talks about how there are nearly 5 million ELLs, and educating them in English and all the other subjects, because we teach all subjects in ENL, is the biggest, or one of the biggest challenges in US public education today. So you should check out how our state is doing. It's a pretty cool tool. And then I've linked for you a bunch of different resources that I'm not going to have time to go through. One of you asked about Arborn earlier before we started recording and before many of you popped in. I want to let you know Arborn is free $99, which is my favorite price. We are grant funded, so we never charge educators or districts for our services, or private schools or charter schools. And so you can check out our sister Arborns there. They're all across the state, and then we have one statewide language Arborn who does lots of translations. If you've ever done the bilingual glossaries, you can absolutely thank them for that. So the Arborn that I work for is the Capital District Arborn, and I've linked for you a tech toolkit that's pretty, I would say it's large, it's not comprehensive, it can be overwhelming, but it's by topic. And then resources to support during COVID-19. And then we also created some standalone units. I just gave you a sample before the Regents were canceled, a sample standalone Regents argument unit that was 20 days of plug and play content. It had lots of linked resources for you. And then definitely the NYS resources. If you don't know about the continuity of learning page, it's got so many resources and they update it regularly. Resources from other New York State organizations, and then digital content resources. So as I said, there's not enough time to go through all of these, but I wanted to make sure you had them here. And if you're in the slides with me, you can click on each of these. All right. So if you're in the TESOL field, like I am, you probably know some of these do's and don'ts, but these come right from an Edutopia article. I'm a Star Wars nerd, so the fact that Edutopia is a George Lucas Foundation, kind of near and dear to my heart. But do's and don'ts of TESOL. So we know that we need to model and weight and use visuals and give verbal and written instructions, and then check for understanding. And then if you're allowed to, encourage the use of first language, native language, home language, whatever you would like to call it. And then these are the don'ts that I'm not going to say out loud because we don't want to validate that we should be doing those. We don't want to do these things. So as a result of this article, the way that these slides are organized is there's a whole section of tools just for modeling. And then there's a section for wait time, a section for visuals, a section, and so on. So what we're going to do, and that's what you voted on earlier, we're going to do a brief overview of all of these, but I'm also going to give you an in-depth, a little bit more deep dive on the two top ones that you picked, which was modeling and giving verbal and written instructions. See, I'm customizing to your needs. Okay. So thinking about technology, is the extra time spent on technology worth it? So as I mentioned, if you hit that overload point, it might be because I'm throwing too much at you. And so I would recommend, just as advice, don't take too much on at once. Okay, I think I scared one of the English language learners I was working with in the last session because I said, what's the only way to eat an elephant? And it's one bite at a time. So take one bite of a piece of technology, try it, and then get comfortable with it, use it. And the same is going to be true for your English language learners, because we don't want to overwhelm them with 60 new tools that we're going to use right now for online learning. You want to make it manageable for you and make it comprehensible for them. Okay, so we're diving in. These are the categories, as I mentioned. So we're going to start with modeling, and that was one of the top ones that you had said you want to dive in. So I'll share with you just kind of some tools here that I have on each slide. So the slides go in order of the table of contents that I have here. So Educreations, Tune, Do, Screencastify. Each slide has some highlights about the tech tool. It also has the devices down here, so the devices it can be used on. It also has sometimes videos of either how I've used the tool or how teachers can set up the tool, and then also some maybe some visuals, so some specifics. So for example, the student that you'll hear if you play this video is demonstrating her understanding of coins. I loved Educreations in my classroom because I felt like it was a great way for students to demonstrate their understanding and use like a whiteboard type of tool. It was really great. So I do know how to spell subtraction, by the way. This is something that a student created, and she named her video, and you can actually share the link to her video as well. So you're welcome to play that on your own. So Tune Do is another one that you can have them create comics if they're a little bit more older or advanced. You're welcome to check that out. I found for my younger learners, because I did teach younger learners at the end of my career in my classroom, it really just wasn't appropriate for them. But I know that the older learners like to make little comics and things. It does require Flash, so I put in like little information for you there too. Oh, Screencastify. I actually just did 2 Screencastifies this morning. It's a way for you to make your own videos, and it's a free extension on Chrome. And during this time, Screencastify recognizes that a lot of educators are going to want to be using it. The free version typically has a limit of, I believe it's 5 minutes. It could be 10 minutes. I haven't used the free version in a while, only because they gave us a code to have premium access. So now I can do as many videos for as long as I want. I can, upload them to my Google Drive. I can upload them to YouTube, and I can even have a little visual of my face embedded in the corner, kind of like I have here on Zoom, because students want to see you. Students are going to miss your face, and as much as, maybe you're in your PJs and you haven't combed your hair today, it's still good for them to see you. So I would recommend using the embed your webcam if you can. But this great thing about this free code is that you can also edit your videos. So we did a webinar, a recorded webinar, and we needed to go back and edit something we said, and you can go back and do that. So YouTube, as I mentioned, YouTube is a great third-party resource, but it's great for embedding in a bunch of different modalities as well. So if you think about uploading YouTube videos to like a Google Slides or Google Classroom, it's great. I would recommend, though, any videos you find that are pre-created, watch them all the way through. You don't know what's on a video until you watch it, and you don't want to put it out to students without knowing exactly what's in it. I don't know if you realize, but YouTube has channels in every country around the world. So if you were to, for example, I'm a transitioning Spanish speaker. I'm not super fluent, but I was working with an earth science student who needed to learn about porosity and permeability, but her native language was Spanish. So what I did was I took the words porosity and permeability. Look, they're cognates. I didn't know that because my mom never yelled those words at me as a child. So content-specific words I translated through Google Translate. I grabbed the translation, copy pasted that Spanish version into YouTube, and up popped this video. And so what I did was I played it. I don't really understand what she's saying, but from the visual demonstration, it's pretty clear that porosity and permeability is being demonstrated here. So I was able to share that with the students so that she could hear it in her native language. And then this is a teacher created video uploaded to YouTube that a teacher made the video and had a printable graphic organizer. And I also linked my YouTube channel here. I do lots of trainings there. And I do see some chats. Feel free to collaborate with each other. Just remember, during this time, I can only see my screen. I can't see the chat without, disrupting my flow, and I am a distracted learner, so I don't want to get off track and waste your valuable time, but I will have a pausing point where you can ask questions, okay? Definitely save them for the pausing point. Khan Academy is a little bit more secure than YouTube because Khan Academy, their website reviews all the videos, and they do have videos translated into 36 languages. It's great for modeling, and it is another corporate partner of Google. A lot of times you can just stick them right into your online platform. Oh, what happened? And you'll see later on today that I do have a backup for my technology collaboration, because as you can see right now, my screen's kind of wigging out. I have lots of tabs open. That describes my brain here. But some of the participants in Hangouts weren't able to get into the platform, so you always want to have a backup for technology. So hoping to get past that. Maybe I clicked on a link. Sometimes when you click on a link while you're presenting, it just tries to jump to that website. We'll see. Okay. Virtual manipulatives. Many teachers are saying, I don't have the tools that I need to be able to teach with the manipulatives right now. I've linked a bunch of resources for online manipulatives, including the National Library of Virtual Manipulatives, Math Playground. They do require Java, so just be careful with that. And then ABC has manipulatives as well. That one requires Flash, I believe. Yes. GeoGebra is for your upper grades, and then I've also seen teachers using Desmos, but there are some graphing and manipulative tools as well. Apple iMovie is another way. If you have Apple devices or if students have Apple devices, you can provide some modeling. The first thing I will say, though, that teachers usually come back to me with is, well, I don't have time to create all the videos that I need for teaching. And I absolutely empathize because I've been there. But I will say, if you use things like YouTube or pre-created movies, that's fine. but get your students to create the videos. Like, have them demonstrate their understanding using this modeling tool, and then it becomes a model for a peer. I can't tell you how cool it was to see students and their faces light up saying, oh, that's my friend from class telling me how to, you know, use fractions or use visuals or something like that. So it was a great teaching tool. It was a great way to check for understanding, but it was also a great way that I didn't have to create all the videos. They could create the videos. QR codes. So these are some of my kiddos. You can sort of see parts of their faces, but I tried to keep them private. So these are QR codes. They are quick response codes. So you can use them to scan. If you've ever seen these lovely little codes on your groceries, like look around for them. You'll be able to see them everywhere now. But you can scan them with your phone. Some phones, if you pull up the camera app and hold it up over the QR code, it'll take you to a website. So really you can link it very quickly, and then the students don't have to type in this huge URL. They can just scan it and go right to where they need to go. And if you notice, my students are scanning different cards that I've created. So this is a great way to link it to specific content. I also used it for differentiation. It's possible that these little rings of cards had a certain level for a student at his or her appropriate level. And I've linked on this slide my favorite QR site, my link to my QR folder of all the things that I've created. There's an iPod readers, so if you scan it, it used to go to, and you'll have to check it, but it used to go to online stories to be read. And then we did a whole writing unit on habitats in 2nd grade, so I linked that writing component for you. All right, here's our pausing point. We're at the next segment. I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to go into your questions in the chat. Any questions on modeling tools that you noticed? Oh, thank you, Nicole. I'm giving you some good wait time because I actually have wait time next because I'm going to show you some timers quick. Is there one that I prefer? I think the one I use the most often is Screencastify because I have control of what I create, and I'll use that over top of Google Slides or any kind of content I'm creating. And yes, I am recording the webinar, so I'll send that to you after. We've never used Loom. Rachel, make sure you save that for the collaboration time because I want everyone to be able to benefit from that, okay? All right, I'm gonna keep sharing my screen. And remember, the next couple of sections are going to go kind of fast because I only did a deep dive into modeling because of the poll results from the beginning, okay? So some idea for wait time. Remember, wait time and these timers are really a modification for teachers because if you're like me, you talk really fast. So maybe you talk too fast for English language learners, but these can kind of help slow you down a little bit. They can help set appropriate expectations for how much time it's going to take to create an activity. So this is a timer tab. It can let you set a timer. My favorite were fun timers, and it's a counting with down clock. It can be a little distracting though, because if you do this like little race, some of my kiddos I found when I gave them like a 5-minute timer, they watched to see who won the race. And what's cute about it is it alternates, so you never know who's going to win at any one moment, but it tells you at the end, and it's kind of random too. So there's a bunch of different fun online stopwatches and timers. Okay, I'm going into using visuals, and again, I'm only going to show you a handful. Some of my favorites that I use the most often, only because I want to make sure that I give you some collaboration time. So you might know about Google Images. Just be aware, if you're pulling up your Google image search in front of students, anything can be on there. So just be careful with that. But there's a way to filter with Google Advanced Search, and there's also a way to only pull up safe search options. So you should definitely check that out. See where it says how to legally use Google Images. So if you're concerned about posting things online for everyone to see, I would definitely watch that video. That one's a good one. Canva's good. Check those out in your own time. I want to highlight a couple for you. So archive.org is one that a teacher actually shared with me. It does require Flash. But it's a great way to have some nonfiction resources, and it builds that background knowledge, especially for learners. I mean, English learners for sure, but all learners who maybe have never seen a volcano or never had access to a panda before. So there are images and videos from all around the world, and then there's also teacher resources, PowerPoints, worksheets, things like that. This helps you create a visual timeline. Another way you can do a visual timeline for like a mind map. It's a little bit more advanced. And then Fakebook is a great one, but they have to know what Facebook is, because it's a great tool on classtools.net where you can have students, or you can create a fake book page for a person. So you can see Abraham Lincoln here. And it's a great activity to have students post as if they're Abraham Lincoln, getting into the head of a person maybe they're reading a biography on. It's pretty great. And then I've even seen some posts where they interact with each other. It's pretty cool. How would Abraham Lincoln have interacted with our current president, for example? But we won't get into politics here. All right, there's my pausing point. Any questions on the few that I highlighted? Oh, you're already collaborating. Look at you. I'm super proud. Good job.
I have a question about the fake book. Thank you, Carmen.
Sure.
I think what I did before is create a fake book worksheet. So are you saying the fake book is also a web online? It's a website, a site?
From the last time that I checked it, yes, you could create an online page for each person. But you're right, the paper version is a great way to do it for like non-tech or low-tech, especially if students don't have access at home. Maybe you have like a template for them to create. But yes, you can do it online.
But I mean, I don't know, how can I just send them the PDF and then they can edit on the sheet?
I have a great video on how to make a PDF interactive using Google Slides. I'm happy to share that with you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
That helps. Thank you so much.
Sure. Oh, fake version of.
Can you share it with all of us?
Oh yeah, you want me to put it in the chat? I can do that. So I'll just share my screen to show you where some of these resources are. That way it's a little bit more accessible for you. Okay, so this is our Auburn page. Auburn.org is the capital district Auburn. But if you go to .news on this page, and I'll put that in the chat as well, I have a message and it's translated into some of our top languages here. But on the right-hand side, I've been linking daily updated resources, so turning YouTube subtitles on and translating the subtitles. But the one that I was talking about was, oh, it's becoming overwhelming here. It might be in the Google solution. So when you click on this, it's going to pull up this document here for you. And turn hard copies, worksheets, or even PDFs into Google Docs for use in the classroom. But then there's also one on using Google Slides. So I'll share this one with you. And if it doesn't work, I'm happy to share with you the Google Slides one. Where's my chat? Come on, chat. I have too many windows open. This describes my brain. Okay. There's one. All right, I'm getting back to the presentation. Here we go, verbal and written instructions. And this is another one that was a top choice, so I'm gonna go a little bit deeper into some of these, but here are some of my favorites. So read and write is a Chrome extension. So let me see if I can, so actually it's right here. See the little purple puzzle piece. So when you search for read and write, it is read ampersand write, the symbol for and. It's a great tool. The free version looks like the faded out version down here, but you can also get the extended version because it's free for teachers. If you have an education domain, then you can register, your school can register as an education establishment, and then they get the extended version for free. So what's great is it's an extension, which is like a little tool at the top of your browser. So anytime you go onto any website, most websites, depends on how it's coded, you have access to these tools. So if you hit the play button, it will read aloud the text on the website. You can pause it, you can stop it. You can also have students record themselves. So this little headphone one, is it the headphone one or the Yeah, I think it's the headphone one, where they can record themselves. So I've seen teachers do like running records where students will have to record themselves reading aloud, and then teachers can track the errors to see what concepts they need to work on if they're learning to read. And then the highlighting tools are my favorite too, but I just want to share with you the picture. It will have a little picture dictionary for if you click on a word. And then the highlighting tools link up with Google Drive. So let's say you have an informational piece on habitats, and my students are supposed to be highlighting, you know, the food the animals eat, and then the type of climate, and then the place in the world, for example. So if they highlight with different colors, so maybe the food is going to be green and maybe the climate is yellow, then it will actually, when you hit there's an icon that shows up when you start highlighting, that's the Google Drive. So when you hit that after you've highlighted everything, it will automatically separate all of the words that you highlighted into a Google Doc by highlight category. So all the green will be with the green, all the blue will be with the blue. And it was a great way to teach just even my regular second graders, not even English language learners, how to categorize information, and it will create a doc for them. It's pretty cool. Claro Read is another one. You might have used Snap and Read. It's a read aloud text extension. It is a Chrome extension, and I like that you can adjust the voice choices. So you don't just have to have that robotic male voice. It can be a lot of different things. And then tinting the screen color was great for my student who had eye issues. She had a 504 for her eye reading ability. She went to therapy for it, but she needed a tinted screen color, so that was great for her. Okay, I mentioned a little bit YouTube subtitles. On my Arbor site, I just did a little video on how to turn on subtitles, and then also how to auto-translate those subtitles into different languages. This is a great tool, especially if you're sending parents any videos that you're creating. Show them how to turn on the subtitles. And it's a great tool for you because it might force you to slow down in talking a little bit. Trust me, it hasn't worked for me, but maybe it'll help you. If you slow down in talking, the auto subtitle creator will catch more of your words more accurately. And then the subtitles, if you have them translated, will be translated into whatever language they select. Now, keep in mind, it works on a code. So just like Google Translate or any of those tools, it's not going to be perfect. I was working on a project, actually, if you saw in NYS TESOL, our picture, where I have a Croatian word and an English word. My English word is love. Well, there's like 6 different ways to say love in Croatian. Didn't know that until I connected with my friend who speaks Croatian. And so if you think about how many ways to say different words depending on context, it's not always going to translate perfectly, but at least they can get the gist. And sometimes it's better than nothing. Okay, Instant Dictionary is another extension. So if you use Chrome a lot, you can highlight and copy text. You can find parts of speech and different definitions and things like that. Google Keep, I have to share with you, I use in my personal life. This is a great way to collaborate with digital checklists. I have a Google Keep checklist that I share with my husband so that when I'm at the grocery store, he can update it automatically, and then I know what I need to get at the grocery store. But this is a great way to keep students on task and make sure that you have verbal and written instructions. So if you're telling them to do something and then you create a Keep checklist for them, then they know what to find and do next. And then Too Long Didn't Read is an extension. It's a great summarizer. So again, it works on a code, but it pulls out key concepts, especially for ELLs. It may be overwhelming to have a whole website of information. So if you want them to read an article, it's possible that it's too much information for them at that time. So they might use TLDR for a smaller summary. Okay, pausing point. Questions? YouTube subtitles when my students have to watch a TED Talk to get some keywords. That's a great idea. Thank you. Excellent. So I'll let you collaborate on that. And then just a reminder, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I've been trying to Google like how to add on subtitle on YouTube. Most likely people tell me, oh, you just have to search the video with subtitles, a closed caption, right? And then I have a way to download YouTube video, but once I download, the closed caption disappear. So I was wondering, how do you add on the subtitles there? Is that possible? Can download so that I can bring my computer, go to any classroom, play with my students, even without Wi-Fi?
That's a great question. So on my YouTube channel, I have the option to add my own subtitles. And so if I were to do that, I would have to be able to speak the languages that my students speak. So that would be the hardest piece. Unless I want to transcribe in English everything I said, I can definitely do that. There is a way through like the Creator Studio to, at certain timestamps, type in subtitles. And I believe that will download, because actually, believe it or not, in New York State and other states too, in EdTPA, if you can't hear you know, the student talking, you should add subtitles. And so we were able to do that on subtitles for them.
I'm sorry, I have another two comment regarding that. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah. So number one, I still don't understand how to use Google Subtitle. If you have to translate everything, I think it's so time consuming, because teacher have to teach various topics and there's just literally no time. You just translate and you put a subtitle. I was told by English teacher that they'd rather to purchase a DVD. Second thing I mentioned, yesterday I found something. So yesterday I go to a great video, 1 minute video to teach new vocabulary in social study, let's say crew. What I did is I used the Loom video, because I have to find a good video I have to walk through anyway. So I used the Loom to record this 1 minute. So this person is explaining this new word, right, in the Loom, while the CC is under. So I have saved this 1 minute video with the 1 minute teaching with subtitle. So that way I don't have to download it. But this is something I use by Loom. I can share with you later. I think it's
I love that
way. Yeah, sure. I don't know how to show. If I can upload, I can show you.
Yeah, that would be great if you could send that to me. Awesome. Thank you. You have my email address too in the slides. So what I did, I think for the first part of your question, and correct me if I'm wrong, for adding the subtitles to YouTube videos, and it looks like some people are asking about YouTube video subtitles as well. So this is a video that I created, I think it was yesterday morning, where I'm showing people how to turn on YouTube subtitles, the closed captioning option, and then there's also a settings gear that will help you with the translation. But sometimes, I mean, sometimes you want to make a video, we want to think about making a video for the students that is more accessible and more on the comprehensible input piece. Like it's the first solution that a lot of content area teachers come to me and say, can we just translate everything? And yeah, that's a great tool sometimes, but more often than not, you want to make sure that you have a video that's going to give them the content, maybe with more visuals, but also help them start to bridge that gap between what they don't know in English and what they need to learn in the content. So I would just caution you, I'm only showing you these tools because oftentimes, especially in the time being, if we're already creating the YouTube videos, then you might as well see if that scaffold works for your individual learners. Okay, I'm going back to share my screen. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing it. Okay, here's my screen. So checking for understanding. So as I mentioned, and this was a pretty high scoring topic, but I'm not going to dive deep into these only because I want to make sure I give you some time to collaborate. So Google Forms, you can create a quiz, a test, a survey. What I love is here's a screenshot of a question. You can now add images to each of your answer options to help students understand a little bit more of what it's saying. And it's great for those younger learners too. And then you can differentiate by using drop down or multiple choice or check boxes. And then I have a bonus video. If you already know how to do this for Google Forms, I used Google Forms to create a digital graphic organizer. So I show you how to do that with this link at the bottom. Quizzes, you might know, is an online quiz resource. It's great. It's engaging. I love that there's more than just multiple choice options. You can actually click on a map and show where you're from or have some kind of geography questions. Those are great resources. Kahoot It, the only bad feedback I've gotten from teachers is students are sick of the song that plays consistently behind the quiz. So if you've ever played that before, it can get a little annoying, but they can always just mute it. It's fine. So Creative is another online version. There's tons of tools that do basically the same thing. Pick one that works for you. Quizlet has a ton of pre-made quizzes. So if you don't have time to create quizzes for everything, check on there. They have lots of pre-made flashcards, spelling support, matching, things like that. Google Classroom, you may already know, but there's lots of ways that you can use Google Classroom for checks for understanding. Poll Everywhere is a good one. I love this one because you can actually create a Wordle. So this word cloud here, based on student words that they put in for Poll Everywhere. And then Newsella. Some people call it News ELA, but when I met the rep from Newsella, she said, no, it's not News ELA. I want you to know it's more than just ELA. It's social studies, it's science, it's current events, it's technology. So there's lots of different quizzes on Newsella. And it's real news. It's current text and it's high interest. And they can annotate the articles, they can submit responses. It's pretty great. Okay, Pear Deck extension. If you use Google Slides for your teaching, I'm using Google Slides right now, you can make your slides engaging for students. So we just did a PD using Nearpod, which is another great engagement tool. But Pear Deck, if you add it as a, actually it's not an extension, it's an add-on, sorry about that. It's an add-on to slides. It'll show you what it looks like here, but you can actually poll students throughout your presentation. So if you're doing synchronous learning, kind of like we're doing right now, in person live, then this might be a tool for you to add to your slides. I'll show you, I incorporated one here. You can tell the little pairs at the bottom. How well do you understand what we just covered? Students can pick their smiley, frowny face based on how they're feeling about what they understand. And then you get that data. It's pretty great. I would recommend if you're doing something like this, make sure you have maybe 4 options. I wouldn't do 5 only because it's really easy for them to pick the middle one. So at least this way you get their data, either more on the good side or more on the not so good side. And there's lots of different types of slides you can put in there. Plickers. Plickers works better if you're in person. So online learning, not so much, but when we're back in the classroom, I'm hopeful it's very soon. This is a lower tech where you only need one device. So I used to use it with my cell phone. I'd hold my cell phone up with the Plickers app and I posed a question. And if you notice, these are the little Plickers controllers. It's like asking a multiple choice question from your students. And then what they do is they hold it up. It's pretty great. And then you can get data from them. All right. Questions on those? Yes, so overwhelming, so many things. Just remember, Vanessa, one bite at a time. Choose something new and then absorb the rest. And then if you want, go back and view this recording again. I'll be able to put this, I'm gonna send this to Laura, our VP, our president for NYS TESOL, and she can post them online. Newsella is free. There is a premium version, but I'm pretty sure they've upgraded some items, so it looks like a Newsella is free right now. And actually with Screencastify, I just got an email this morning. They upgraded me to premium until the end of May. So I think during this remote learning time, they're trying to be sensitive to that. All right, I'm going back. Here we go. L1 tools. So if you're encouraging first language in the class, if you've never used Duolingo, it's pretty great. Here's an example of Duolingo explained in Spanish, and I found that right on YouTube. So all I did was I translated it, found it in Spanish, and said, here's how you use Duolingo. You can actually set the settings to native language. I had students who were from the Middle East and they were speaking Arabic, and it was right-hand oriented, and they could read it in their native language, and the language they were learning was English on Duolingo. It's pretty great. And it's kind of like a game. And then you might know about Google Translate, but if you don't, check this out, share this with your parents, because your parents of your English language learners can probably use this as a survival tool if they need it. You can hover your phone over the text. And then here's a video of 2 students, a Portuguese speaking student and an English speaking student, finally being able to communicate with each other because they're using the voice option. It's pretty cute. And then if you like extensions, Polyglot is a great extension because it works over top of your websites. So you can show students how to use Polyglot, translate to their language, and then it will translate websites to their native language. Again, it works on that code like a translation software, so it's not always perfect, but it's a great tool to be able to, use if you have nothing else. And again, it depends on the code of the website. So if there are images that have text, it may not be able to translate over top of where the images are. So it just depends on the website. Okay, I've got lots of bonus tools for you if you want to check out collaboration. If you want to learn more about Google, I did some Google training at the last NYS TESOL conference. I hope you join us this fall. It's our 50th anniversary. It's going to be great. But last fall, I did a Google Apps for Education training level 1 and level 2. That's self-study. You can check that out. And then I always do the supports by subject area in my scaffolding PD, so you can check that out too and add to that if you'd like. Your next steps are different for each person, but creating your own tools. Here's my contact info. And when I stop for questions, I'm going to stop for questions, and then I'm going to ask, we're going to go to Unhangouts. So as I mentioned, Unhangouts is created by MIT. They created a code, and check with your district before you use these tools, because in New York State, we have EdLaw 2D. Some of the free items are not really free because they're collecting personally identifiable information. So check before you do that, because it could compromise the privacy of our students. But we use Unhangouts for these kinds of PDs because it allows you to break out into sections. So when you click on this link, don't click yet, you're going to go into this room, you're going to see this little chat from me, and then you're going to click the breakout room that you need the most support with and you want to collaborate with each other. So if modeling was your top choice, go into modeling. It limits you to 10 people. So if more than 10 people choose modeling, then you're not going to be able to go in. And so you can choose your second choice. That's why I had you pick maybe multiple choices for the poll earlier. Now, as I mentioned, technology sometimes hiccups, just like it did during my presentation today. So my backup plan, I shared with you a Google Doc that's just a collaboration. And really it took all of those sections. And where's my collaboration here? There's my breakout room. This is what it looks like. You can click in, nobody's in yet. That's great, you listen to my directions. This tool is the shared Google Doc that it will separate by section we covered today. And if you want to learn about using visuals, you can click using visuals in the table of contents, and it'll pop you down to the using visuals. So these are the ones I covered. We're going to do a description, any challenges you might notice, and I have extra ones, extra lines here for you, so that if you want to add in your favorite tools or anything you're having challenges with, you can definitely do that today. All right, I'm going back to questions, and then I'm going to ask you to go into that Unhangouts link that I'm going to link for you in the chat. You will have to either log in with your Google account or your Facebook account or create an account. So I'll give you a second to do that. And it looks like we have about 10 minutes of collaboration time. So what I'd encourage you to do is go into your breakout room and then either share the tools and technology pieces that I didn't cover, or find out what people are having challenges with right now so that you can help each other problem solve. And when you get into the breakout room, it's going to ask you for access to your video and your audio. So if you're on video or audio through Zoom, you won't be able to access it because you've got one camera, one portal to be able to use that. So you can mute yourself here on Zoom, and then you can go into the breakout rooms and chat with each other. Okay, and then in the breakout room, I'll show you, you'll be able to go on to, so people are in modeling already, that's great. It's not going to let me access my camera, that's okay, but in the top right-hand corner, there's a little document icon. So I've also linked the shared doc there. So you can either type to each other and chat if your camera's not working, or you can chat with each other in video. And then to get out of the breakout room, when you're done, you can just click the tab and it'll bring you back to the chatting. All right, I'm going back for questions. I'll hang out here for a little bit and then I'm gonna pop into some of the breakout rooms, but don't forget, I'm gonna reshare the links for you that you need so that you can get credit for today. And feel free to reach out with any questions, okay? I so appreciate what you're doing right now. I'm so appreciative of all your flexibility and your time, and all the efforts you're making for your English language learners, because I think we're all in kind of unfamiliar territory right now. So you guys are amazing. Thank you.